So I didn't do my reading for this week, so I won't be talking about the next chapter of the Ethics of Ambiguity. So what I do want to talk about, though, is related to Justice Ginsburg's death, but I'm not really qualified to talk about her life and career. There are people who are, and there's going to be a lot written about her, and there should be. She's a very interesting and accomplished person, and so if you want to learn about that, you have the internet at your disposal. Go forth, do some Googling, do some reading. Instead, what I want to talk about, and again, I could probably have talked about this any number of times, is that horrible people on the internet have taken this event and turned it into a demonstration of why the internet and social media in particular has turned into this hellscape over the last few years. A bleak hellscape where the most vocal, angry people are running the show. But you think, well, you've all seen internet comment sections or Twitter or Reddit, and you know that, yes, angry, vocal people are heard a lot. And the worst thing is, though, that on these platforms, there's a decent sized population whose first reaction to any situation is to be as unpleasant as possible. And they will justify this behavior in a lot of ways, but they'll mainly justify it in saying, well, the other side did X when Y happened. And it's a twisted tit for tat exchange. And what this causes is that people very rarely get exposed to calm, respectful people on the other side. Instead, they're seeing terrible, volatile people who they disagree with being as terrible and volatile as the internet will let them be. And this causes people to, go to their corners, put their guard up. But let's look at this, I want to say, sort of rationally. Because, again, you saw the same thing when Justice Scalia died just a few years ago, only it was different people who started it. And when you realize that, and then you look back and you see, well, Ginsburg and Scalia really liked each other. They respected each other and they were good friends. So it makes it very disconcerting to look at the internet, and see, why is everyone so angry with each other when these two people were able to put all of these things behind themselves? And so I want to try and break this down, right? And make it, hopefully bring it to the point where we realize there are some angry people on the internet, but it's not as bad as we think. So first, I want to hit the point where I said it's a decent sized population. And it's probably true. You go onto Reddit or anywhere and you'll probably get, maybe, let's be conservative here and say maybe there's a few thousand people who are just, they're always there, ready to go. Something happens, they receive the notification, they tweet the terrible thing. America, and we're going to just stick with America because if we go to the world, it's a little bit harder, but let's stick with America. There's 330 million people in America. Let's assume that only a third of us have a social media presence, which I know may not be true. So we've got 100 million social media accounts. And you've got maybe 1,000 who are your internet asshole, ready to go, start a fight over anything. This suddenly makes a much better picture of the internet, right? Our population is suddenly a lot larger. There's not nearly as many assholes out there, but they're still the vocal ones who people hear the most. But now it's not, some bleak hellscape and these are the roving bands who are the only ones talking, right? Now it's more like we're a busy, bustling metropolis, and this is the guy on the street corner with the bullhorn who everyone sort of politely looks away from. Who, he's talking about chemtrails and everyone else is just like, that's nice, while they're trying to go about their business. And that's what I hope we can start sort of viewing these vocal internet trolls as, right? They're not what defines the other side. any more than the 9/11 was an inside job guy is, or the Obama was born in Kenya guy. Those are radical crazy people who aren't part of what the other 300 some million people believe. So when you take that population into account, you've got to wonder, well, all I see are all of these assholes talking. So why am I not seeing all of these other people, even the people I disagree with, but who are of goodwill and good sense? Why don't I see them? And the answer is because most likely those people are using social media as a tool in probably roughly the same way you are. Like, take me for example. When I use Twitter, it's very rarely to do anything beyond look at a few news stories, try and avoid getting dragged into some of the crazier news stories. But it's primarily, I've got NASA followed, a bunch of the Smithsonian's followed. There's that one museum in, I think, Japan where cats keep trying to sneak into it that I have followed to see those videos. And that's probably what that 100 some million people use social media for, to not engage with the crazy people. And we're dispersed, I guess you could say, across all of these other things. Whereas the crazy people go to and seek out the hot button issue of the day. They go to, CNN. They follow whatever politician they want to beat up on or who they want to, retweet. And you've got two different ways of approaching social media, right? You've got the person who's there to use it as a tool to learn cool things, to have neat things to share with their friends, like, hey, did you hear this story? Or, hey, did you read this? And then you've got the crazy person whose job, they think, is to engage on social media, but not in a way that's healthy, right? Their idea of engagement is a literal engagement. They're there to fight and be vocal, be angry, and fight it out. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you're looking at social media, that's all you're seeing, go to, take, I don't know, NASA or one of the Smithsonians and look at how many followers they have. Odds are, most of those people, I don't want to say won't care about a story like Justice Ginsburg's death, but most of those people aren't going to be the people that you're going to see the most. And so your quality of life on the internet, and maybe not in real life, but on the internet, your quality of life is going to go up significantly if when you're on social media, you use it to seek out the things that you're there for and to seek out people of goodwill and who are calm and reasonable. Instead of looking into the Twitter echo chamber of the worst people who you disagree with. Because Twitter serves that up to you. That gets them clicks, that gets them revenue, and also the simple fact is that most of what Twitter's algorithms are just mindless robotic algorithms. So they're like, well, people like seeing this, so do you like seeing this? And if you click on it, the Twitter robot's going to say, oh, they did like seeing this. Let me give them more of this. So if you don't like seeing it, stop clicking on it and find something you do like. And it's going to make your life better to remember that the crazy people on the internet are a distinct minority. They're just very, very loud. And so you can go on to the internet and find good, reasonable, calm people to talk to interact with, and you can avoid the few thousand crazy people. Because the more time you spend reading those miserable people, the more time you're going to risk becoming more and more miserable. And that's just not something you want to do. So, In short, there's angry people on the internet. There's not nearly as many of them as the internet makes you think there are. And you can control the internet. I guess there will be a little bit of existentialism here, right? You can choose how you want to engage with the internet, with people on there, and how you use your time there. And in doing that, you have complete control over the sort of media you're going to consume. So instead of consuming the media that is of the worst people you disagree with, find the best people, whether you agree with them or not. And hopefully, doing that will make your life better. Maybe next week I'll have actually done my reading and I'll be able to get off of my soapbox and go back to existentialism. But if not, I do have some other stuff about art and philosophy I can talk about next week that, again, still be off my soapbox, but will be a little more on brand and a little less, I don't know, political. Either way, try and find things that are better, not worse.